Hey guys, Travis Gillespie. In the last video, we looked at how to identify lines that are parallel, and we're going to move forward from here. And instead of looking at the equations, let's actually look at a graph and ask yourself, well, how now do you determine if the lines are parallel? I mean, I could literally look at the opposite sides here and say, you know what? They look to be parallel, and these sides look to be parallel, but I can't guarantee it without some further calculation. So from here, we're going to look at that formula again. Let's take the points and look at that formula for slope and plug in the points for each line segment. So I'm going to find the slope of pretty much each line segment. So the slope of, well, I've got line segment AB. I've got line segment AD. And I got line segment DC and BC. So I'm going to find out the slope of all of these line segments. In order to do that, I need to use the slope formula. Cool. Well, let's look at line segment AB first. So I'm going to look at line segment AB and take these coordinates and plug them in to my equation. I'm going to use point B as my x sub 1 and x sub 2 values. So I'm going to take -1, be -1, and then I'm going to subtract. I'll take +3 here. Cool. And then I'm going to, at the other point, take 2 and subtract -4. That's how I'll find the slope for this equation. Now I'm going to change colors, and actually I'm just going to set up the slope formulas for each of these real quick. Let's look at line segment AD, and I'm going to make point D my, I'm going to keep point A my my x sub 1 and y sub 1 value still. So take -1 for y sub 2, -1, and subtract negative +3. Now I'm going to take -4 and subtract -4. Cool, and now I'm going to take, I'm going to jump back to the green color again, and let's look at line segment DC. So DC here, let's keep point D my sub 2 values again, so make these my sub 1. So I'm going to take -1 here and subtract -5. And my sub 1s, I'm going to take -4 here and subtract 2. And now for BC, my last one, line segment BC, I'm going to keep these as my sub 1 values. I'm going to actually convert these point B into my sub 2 values. So I'm going to take -1 and subtract -5. And below, I'm going to take 2 and subtract 2. I forgot to change colors here, so I'm going to just change those colors up again. Let's go back to blue here, or purple, and okay, so starting over again with this last one, I'm going to take -1 and subtract -5. And then I'm going to take 2 and subtract 2. Cool. So let's go and actually calculate these now. So my first problem that I'm going to deal with here is finding the slope. So I know that -1 minus 3 is going to give me -4 over, well, 2 minus -4 is really 2 plus 4. So I've got 6, and that can be simplified into, well, negative, and break these down. 2 over 3. And my slope for this one is negative 2/3. Now I'm going to change colors again, and let's say, all right, negative 1 minus 3 here. Well, you already know that that's going to be negative 4. And now 4 minus negative 4, that's 4. Negative 4 plus 4, so that gives me 0. That's interesting. Well, negative 1 plus 5 is going to give me positive 4 over negative 4 minus 2 is going to give me negative 6. Well, that breaks down again to negative 2/3, simplifies into negative 2/3. Now finally my last value here, what I end up with is 1 plus 6, negative 1 plus 6 will give you negative 5, positive 5. Undo that. Over 2 minus 2, which is 0. So now I have got a couple of interesting things here that we can talk about. The slope for so let's go into this and actually talk about the slope of line segment AB and the slope of line segment DC. They are both negative 2/3. So these two lines are parallel. Line segments AB is going to be parallel to line segment DC. And also another interesting fact is the slopes of AD, line segment AD, and the slope of line segment BC, well, those have zeros in the denominators. That means these guys are undefined lines. Well, undefined lines are actually vertical. Well, when you have two vertical lines, they actually end up becoming, I misspelled that. Well, vertical lines are actually parallel just as horizontal lines would be. So line segment AD and line segment BC are also going to be parallel. That should be an A, and that's going to be parallel. Let's fix that parallel line there. So a line segment AD is parallel to line segment BC. Cool. So now you see that you can actually use points on a graph and find the slopes of their lines and determine if they're parallel. Neat stuff. I'll see you in the next video.